Welcome everybody. Sorry, do I need to lean over or can everybody hear me okay? Okay. I have a very loud voice, so I wish I would have had any musical talent whatsoever, but I don't. I'm Megan Inman. I'm the chairman of the board of the Phoenixville Regional Chamber of Commerce, so welcome to this month's membership meeting. We want to thank first the Kimberton Conference Center. Bruce and Buffy, thanks for hosting today, and to our sponsor, Phoenixville Hospital. And we've got a full agenda today, so if you also wouldn't mind giving us your attention and silencing your cell phone, we would certainly appreciate it. I know I love an hour without my phone. That's a good time. So first, I want to also thank our annual sponsors, Phoenixville Hospital, the Phoenixville JCs, SEI, Benchmark Federal Credit Union, Phoenixville Federal Bank and Trust, Premier Planning Group, Riverworks Luxury Apartments, now called The Point, Art Credit Union, AFC Urgent Care, BB&T Bank, Better Homes and Gardens Community Realty, Giardina Insurance and Financial Services, John Kennedy Ford, Maley LLP, OWM Law, Patriot Pest Solutions, Phoenix Village Luxury Apartments, Steve Greco Landscaping, and Tompkins Vis Bank. Truly, without their commitment to the chamber, a lot of our programming and things that we do, including our staff and things, wouldn't be possible. So a big thank you to all of our annual sponsors. There I am. Okay. Okay, so now it's time to introduce our speaker from the hospital. This month, our health tip from Phoenixville Hospital will be delivered by Dr. Hans Haupt. Haupt? Did you get on that? Yeah, I still messed it up. I practiced a bunch. I apologize. CT surgeon with Tower Health Medical Group. He will discuss all the hospital updates and speak to the commitment to making Phoenixville Hospital a destination for cardiovascular services. Very exciting for the hospital and the community, and we're happy to welcome you here today. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. You did very good on that name there. How? I've been at Phoenixville for about 17 years. And I started in Phoenixville back in 2003 when it was actually owned by University of Pennsylvania for a short period of time. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but I was recruited by Penn to come here and start an open heart surgical program. And I grew up in the Bryn Mawr area, so I was familiar with it. And you know, I've loved Phoenixville, and I've always loved Phoenixville. And there's been a lot of changes at the hospital. First big change was Penn sold the hospital to CHS, which was a for-profit center, and I actually stayed with Penn because I was a little leery of the for-profit situation. And we're now owned by Tower Health, which has made some dramatic improvements in the hospital and what we offer our patients. Surgery is, I'm a second generation surgeon. My father was a surgeon, cardiothoracic surgeon. He started the program at Lankenau Hospital. Did the first open heart at Lankenau Hospital in 1960. So, and I didn't want to be a heart surgeon. Started out, I wanted to be an engineer, so I studied engineering. I studied chemical engineering and mechanical engineering, and that was when the moon landing happened, and I wanted to go to the moon. So, but I tell you, people in engineering, I have a lot of respect for them. They're incredibly smart, and medicine was actually easier. So when I got into medicine, it was easier. It's a lot of memorization, but with engineering, you have to have a background that's like, it's amazing. I mean, you look at some of the things we can do today, just the technology, the robotics that we can do. We can land things on Mars, and we can drive around cars on Mars. I mean, think about that. So medicine has taken some time to catch up. We still have to do surgery with scalpel and suctioning and all these different things. But Phoenixville's always been, I've always wanted to stay in Phoenixville. I've been offered elsewhere, go elsewhere, but I've never wanted to leave. and that's a community. I love the community. And Tower Health came in and said, okay, you continue and stay on. I did leave the University of Pennsylvania, but the things that Tower Health is committed to is really helpful. And a couple of those things, I would say the last 2 years, what we've done is we've consolidated some of the cardiovascular services. Tower Health bought a few hospitals. They bought Pottstown, Brandywine, Chestnut Hill, Phoenixville Hospital, and they're committed to offering services to the community. They, and to be honest with you, the reason why I didn't want to go downtown is I didn't want to deal with the Schuylkill Express. I mean, imagine that. I mean, so I didn't want to do that every day. And that's part of the reason why I like working in the country. So what they've done is they've consolidated a lot of their services. They chose Phoenixville, actually, to head up the cardiovascular service line. So the services from Pottstown, we get patients from all over. I don't know if you know this, but we get patients from Downingtown, Coatesville, Jennersville area. All those patients are now coming to Phoenixville for their heart services, a lot of them. They still have programs there, but we're sort of a destination for those programs. And they looked at it very carefully, and they said that Phoenixville, the numbers and the outcomes and the quality of services that we do offer. We have more cardiologists on staff. We have we have a state-of-the-art intensive care unit, which really makes things so much better for me, I'll tell you, and for the patient experience. Our patients come in for surgery, they'll leave from the same bed. They stay in one bed the entire time. Now, I'm a cardiothoracic surgeon, and what that means is they do both heart and lung surgery. So I do the full spectrum. And but the commitment that Tower Health has made, we have new staff, we have new physician assistants that help with working and seeing these patients from different areas like Brandywine, Pottstown, and Jennersville. So we're really in a growth phase. It's kind of scary because we've doubled our cardiac volume in the last 6 months. So we've really, it's really helped out a lot. Number one thing I would say for people who are challenged with heart disease is you can go on the internet now and all surgeons they're benchmarked and they're graded. We're all graded, which is kind of tough because I specialize in high-risk surgery. I specialize in patients that are older. I specialize in patients that don't get blood transfusions. So two of my things that I do high-risk surgical patients, and I also do patients without blood, patients who do not receive blood transfusions. So I do most of my heart surgeries without blood transfusions. And that's really sort of revolutionized my practice in the last 10 years. It's helped with the recovery. Patients aren't on the ventilator machine very long. We get them off very quickly. Recovery is faster without blood transfusion. Some patients need it. Some patients come in, their blood count's low. And we do everything we can to avoid that. But sometimes it's just low. They just need the blood. It can be life-saving in some cases. But there are a lot of patients that we do. They're Jehovah's Witnesses that can't accept the blood. So we get quite a few of those patients. And they're challenging. They're tough. I mean, normally I would say 50% of all open heart patients get blood. But at Phoenixville, it's about 7%. So we made a lot of progress in that area. So, but I'm really here for you if you have any questions. I just want to let you know that it is a lot safer. It's a lot safer. Cardiothoracic surgery is a lot safer today than it ever has been, even since the 90s. So as long as surgeons adopt the newer techniques and things like bloodless surgery and different things like that, the results will speak for themselves. The risk of surgery is very low. Most people are extraordinarily scared of surgery, and I understand that. It's perfectly reasonable, but there are a lot of patients, and some people in this room, I think, has had surgery, and they can attest to the fact that it does help them, and it does allow them to live longer. okay? It's the #1 killer. Patients drop over, you hear they didn't wake up, you know what happens. It's unfortunate. I would say half the people that have a heart attack in the United States still do not survive. So you want to make sure that you do your screening. You want to make sure that you get your calcium score. There's some things that you can do to look for heart disease. Your doctor, your family doctor can't tell you if you have heart disease. It's based on symptoms, if you have shortness of breath or chest pain with exertion, but some people don't get symptoms. And those people tend to have more serious heart attacks because they don't have symptoms. So it is important to get your screening done. There are 5 risk factors for heart disease, 5. So there's smoking, diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension, and a family history. The #1 thing is diabetes. That's the #1. I would say if there's all the things that you have, like diabetes, you got to really watch it with diabetes. So you really want to watch your coronary arteries with diabetes. Any kind of arteriosclerosis comes with diabetes. That's #1. #2 is actually family history. Very strong predictor of heart disease. Those 2 things. So look at those. As far as the hypertension, you want to keep that under control. Make sure you're not walking around with a blood pressure of 150 because that will cause problems with the heart. And the high cholesterol, you know, some people I see don't have high cholesterol, so that's good. But these new medications that they have, the statins, the Zocors, and all those medications, they're godsend. Take them. If your doctor prescribes them, take them because they're extraordinarily important, and the amount of heart disease has gone down. The problem is there's more and more people that are living till their 80s. So, you know, eventually it'll get you, but it does help. And all the exercise that you do, Mike, all the working out that you do is very helpful. Although I got to tell you, I have operated on quite a few people, runners. You know, they worked out all the time. But that's usually family history oriented. That's where they get their heart disease. But everything they've done up to that point, even the exercise and all that stuff, they say, well, it didn't do any good. It actually did. It did a lot of good because the arteries get larger and they're so much easier to fix. Large arteries are easy to fix, super easy. Bypasses stay open longer. So all these things really matter. So, you know, exercise and watch your weight if you can. Watch your blood pressure. And if there's any questions you have, I'm here to help you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. It's always very interesting every month to have the hospital come give us an update from a different arm of their business, so thank you very much. So now it's time to introduce our esteemed speaker today. The reason you're all here, Mr. Gene Crack. He's the Phoenixville Borough Manager, and we always look forward to getting all the inside information on what's going on in Phoenixville, including a big topic, the Montclair Connector Bridge Project. So hold your questions. Mr. Gene Crack?
So, Dr. Hop. Back in May, I have golf in the afternoon and I have a biometric study in the morning. And I'm kind of laughing, but this is serious stuff and it's important because I wanted to follow up with what he said because it's true. I had a biometric study. My blood pressure that morning, the low number was 125. That's not good. They made me sign a piece of paper, said, you're not going out of this room until you say that you're going to see a cardiologist. I went to Lankenau, sorry, Dr. McNamara did the what do you call it, the calcium scan, did all of that stuff. The medicines they give, 5 months later, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. My blood pressure's down, my cholesterol's down. Most importantly, stay on top of this stuff. It's a very volatile world, and we're all in high pressure jobs these days. And my point is, you have to stay on top of it because it's so darn easy to get caught up in this job or your job and what have you. To put yourself, I was like, golf, doctor, golf? Oh, better go to the doctor. So I make light of it in somewhat of a humorous way, but it's very serious stuff. And thank God that we had the opportunity to have the biometrics study, because I didn't know what I didn't know. And now I'm, 3 pills later a day, and I'm feeling better and everything's down, so yay. I do what I do. I have Katie here and I have Kelly here, who are the heavy lifters. I'm the eye candy. We try to put together a little program for you. For those of you that count, there are 26 slides, so you know where the end of this is going to be. And so I'll start with a, yay, I actually know how it works. So that's the Borough Hall, and for those of you that know the downtown, you know that we photoshopped the heck out of this. Okay? Because if you're standing on the other side of Stable 12, you're looking at power lines up and down Bridge Street, right? So yay Photoshop. We got the best looking building in southeast Pennsylvania, I think. So a little factoids. A lot of you are new. Most of you, I think I know, but a lot of you are new. And so this is a little stuff about the borough, things you may not have known. How big we are, how many miles of roadways we have, the things that we have to do as a staff to manage all of the things that go on in the borough. 1,300 stormwater inlets. When it rains, it pours sometimes, and so we have to get water out of town. And so those guys that work in our streets department are there with the vacs and repairing and doing all of the things that they do to get that water out of here so that the streets don't stay flooded. All kinds of different things that go on, but it gives you a sense that there's a lot of maintenance that goes on in a municipality. And this is what our guys do, and I appreciate the heck out of what they do. In the time that Kelly and I especially, and a lot of the staff have been here, this gives you a sense of some of the stuff that we've been able to work with our borough council, our various committees and boards and what have you to get things done. But notwithstanding is also the elected officials that are not part of the borough, but they're at the county level, the state level, and the federal level. They have helped us put together a lot of infrastructure improvements, and you look at that over the past 10 years or so, that's a lot of investment by a lot of people in the borough. And so the place that you now see came from a lot of this stuff, and this stuff is what causes people to look at the borough from a quality of life perspective, is all of these things getting done. And so it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens with a lot of people being involved, and we very much appreciate what goes on. There's I guess a quick total, 29, 36, I'm public school, so 36 million, give or take. These are some of the projects, I'll go over that. These are either preliminarily approved or final approved or in the process of being recorded. Odessa is up on the north side. It's up off of Township Line Road off of Fillmore. It's been around for about maybe 3 to 4 years at this juncture. It's intended to be 500 residential units, 240 apartments. Actually, I'm not so sure about the assisted living at this juncture because that was a conditional use that has since expired, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. But it's not something that's going to happen overnight, as I've talked to the developer, but it's still on the radar. Is that me hiccuping or is that the computer? Steel Point. And I'm going to come back to this a little bit on and off here, but primarily tonight, Borough Council is expected to review that. I can't speak for council. I believe that we've done everything that we could possibly do as the developer, as the staff, as the various supporting entities, regional, county, and borough planning commissions, but ultimately it's council's decision as to the approval of the plan. Assuming the approval of the plan tonight, it would be 550, I think it's actually 551 residential units with 240 apartments and 311 townhomes, give or take. But the thing that's important is, I didn't bring a magic fingers, I'll do this. This area here and this area here are things that I want to come back to. The first being the area on the right, and that is an area that is intended to be parking. We don't have a parking problem in the borough, I'm sure about that, right? But the developer has recognized that and has been working with the borough in the context of making that available to the public. I'm not so sure that whether the borough will be managing that or whether the developer, we still have to work out those details. But right now we'll just say that it's in the developer's hands to provide that. And it'll be up front when the project starts. The roadway has to get in and then the parking comes along with it. And all total, it's about 120 parking spots in the lot and then about another 80 to 90 along the roadway. Our parking study, I think I talked about this several years ago, suggested that at full build out, we would need about 300 parking spots. So we're within now 100. This is going to be a game changer, I think, for people that come into the town, being able to park, and then within, as you can see very clearly, within a 2 to 3 minute walk, they're right on Bridge Street. So, and then the second piece of that is what I pointed to the left, which is the future non-residential use. That, if the plan goes through, that would be provided to the borough, and it is our intent that if that in fact goes through, we are serious about putting a new fire station there. With the roadway and the bridge connection that the developer is proposing, it's ideally located and provides us an opportunity, and I'll show you this, of the size of fire station that we could possibly put together.
Can you point out some of the crossroads?
Oh, I'm sorry. Bifocals, I can't do anything about that. I'm sorry, say that again?
Which streets are we looking at, just so we can...
Okay, so this is the High Bridge. This is Main Street, South Main. This is where Riverworks is at. This is where, of course, I'm going to reference breweries, so, route down. And then Bridge Street right here. And, well, Paradise Street, Nut Road being here, Paradise Street comes across this way. So this main arterial, actually a boulevard, would be sort of a mid-borough crossing off of Bridge Street. Now, obviously, the residents don't want it to be a thoroughfare. I don't think we want it to be a thoroughfare, but it is a way to get through the borough in the middle on the other side of the creek. And that's important because of emergency services and the like. Did that help? Okay. The other way. Eland Point Crossing, this was as of 3 hours ago, correct? And then this morning I met with the developer and they're looking at something different. In fact, I think they're looking at possibly a lesser number of units, but we'll see. They came in, they wanted to talk to us about it, and Dave Volker and I talked to them for about an hour this morning, offering some suggestions and the ways to go about whatever it is that they want to do. But it is a formally approved plan. They have the ability to build that. And if they want to make any changes, then it would be what we would call it'd be a major revision, but not something that would be demonstrative to going through the planning process or back through council. Steelworks, for those of you who know Manny, and this is Manny's mirror project to what is Phoenix Village in the downtown. This is adjacent to Teg Lumber and sort of wraps its way around the Bartow Pool area, and then some of the houses that are on the south side of Bridge Street as it goes towards Nutt. You can see there's 336 apartments, 36,000 feet of retail, and 500 car parking lots. And that's something that I want to make sure that everybody recognizes, is that these projects for themselves have parking provided so that it takes care of its own parking problem and doesn't create a secondary problem on what is needed for the downtown, for the visitors that come into the community. But what's also important is if you were to go up, what do you call them, the drones or something, you looked above the borough, you would see how close in proximity all of these are into the downtown. So it becomes, people come home, they park their car, and it becomes a very, very walkable community. And I think that's the one thing that is a selling point to the quality of life to the borough, that, you know, not only are you able to walk into the downtown, but you're able to walk very healthfully towards Reeves Park around, and we've actually got some signage in the borough that shows you if you walk this loop, it's a certain distance, and a very healthful way of living in the borough.
Is that project as the parking garage for the people who are going to live there, or do they give them back in and of itself?
At this juncture, I think it's for them, because if you take 336 units and a 1.5,
Yeah,
it's,
that's why I said, so they're not giving anything.
I would suspect that it's not available to the general public. It may be available to some of the retail. I think the devil's in the details. That's a preliminary plan. That's a preliminary plan. So there's a lot more detail that is to come, but if they have 36,000 feet of retail, they're gonna have to figure out where those retail are gonna park. So we got some bites at the apple with the developer to figure out what happens next. This is a combination project in collaboration with the borough and the Hankin Group. The borough owns the property. It's the former Streets building, which is catty corner from the Steelworks building. Nudies would be, the restaurant would be right about here, and the Shell station would be over to the right. This is intended to be for senior housing, affordable senior housing, about 50 residential units. And for those of you who don't know the rent in the borough, they're projecting that the rent for these apartments will be somewhere around $700. That's going to be huge. And I've been inside Hankins projects, and they're phenomenally well equipped. So the senior folks that are able to get into this facility will have a tremendous place to live. It's all energy efficient and what have you. The rents are low, and goodness gracious, it's so walkable to the downtown. Again, I think it's a great project. They're coming before the Planning Commission on Thursday. And the goal is to get through, it does require tax credits, so they have to go through that process, but if the luck that we've had so far continues, we should be talking to them about moving dirt and building a building this time next year.
Gene, is there parking with that?
There is. I don't have it on here, but the parking would be on the backside back here, and there is enough that accommodate with the senior, because this is 62 and older. Yeah, I qualify. Yes. At $700 a month too. I think I don't qualify actually at this point, but the thing that they know is that they'll have more parking than will actually be used. So again, not an impact on the downtown. This is Luxor. This is the extreme to the others. I don't think there's a millennial in the audience. Oh, come on. Of course the mayor is a millennial.
We're here.
They're here. So this is a project called Luxor. It's by Westrom Development. John Westrom has been doing this for quite some time. I had worked with him on a project some 22 years ago, so I know the type of product that he builds. I think this is one that is, I'm not so sure, being honest, I'm not so sure how things that have a label such as millennial evolve over time, but you know, he's the developer and it's his money, so he's got a niche, and this is primarily one-bedroom apartments and very, very few two-bedrooms. It's self-contained. It's got all of its gamesmanship and entertainment value and exercise facilities. And as it relates to the borough's trail system, it will abut the what we call the French Creek Trail. And I'll show you that somewhere in another slide.
Which streets are those?
I'm sorry. That is not a street at the bottom. This is an entryway into the building. This is Wheatland. I saw this would be Steel Town, there's so many names. Steel Town Village is here, and the great frame of reference is the ball field. The sign-off field is right on the other side of that tree, if that tree were to be there.
So that's the old warehouse.
DeSanto.
Building.
Yes. Under construction as we speak is an All Abilities Playground. Pretty significant. And, you know, this is somewhat on a personal note. I happen to, you know, for those of you who know, 22 years ago I came from California, so I always have a little bit of a California bent on certain things. So I kind of follow things that go on out there because it takes time for them to migrate across the plains and into the East Coast. But our folks are in a project of this size for about $550,000, $600,000. I was reading the paper Saturday, and they were proudly building a similar facility back where I came from in Vacaville, California, $4.5 million. Welcome to California. Okay, so I think the Kiwanis and the JCs, the banks that have participated, the people that have participated, all of the social organizations that have been involved, and there's a laundry list of people that have been involved in this, contributed to make this happen, stepped up to the plate, and come November 13th, we're going to have a great ribbon cutting and no snow. So. And by the way, this is just the playground portion of this. We are also building a brand new ADA accessible 2-bathroom facility in the backside of the band shell. So there's a lot going on. In the list of things that the borough still wants to do, we've built a new borough hall, as you know. We've built new public works facility down off of South 2nd Avenue. It's still our goal to build a new recreation center up on the north side. We acquired a portion of the field that you see that is adjacent to Friendship Field, which is on the corner of Franklin and Fillmore. We have the opportunity to build this building. We have actually received funding from the state in the form of what we call RCAP, or RACP, to the tune of $1.5 million. So we have a great start financially to make this happen. It's just at the point when council decides that it wants to move forward with the bond, because we would have to do a bond. We can't float the rest of the dollars to make the building happen, but that's up to council, and we've given them all of the information necessary. It's just a matter of decision-making time. Similarly, assuming the project goes forward tonight, and assuming we get to the point of the exchange of real estate, this is what we would anticipate the fire station would look like if it were to be built on the portion of the property from the French Creek West or Steel Point development. Much larger facility, as you can see right now. For those of you that know, on Church Street, our building houses 3 vehicles in one door bay, and they kind of squeeze themselves in. And this would be so much better for everybody if we had this facility with training rooms, outside facilities for training, learning how to do vehicle extraction and all those sundry kinds of things. And plenty of room for parking for the people at the fire department. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything goes forward and we continue working towards this. We have a request into the state. We're in a line item, but we haven't gotten formalized funding as we had in the recreation center for some funding for this as well. Everybody done eating? This is a hydrothermal carbonization, say that 3 or 4 times, is a process that takes what usually takes 14 days and condenses it into about 45 minutes, using low pressure and low heat to do what microbes do over a very long period of time. It creates a much better carbon footprint. It reduces or eliminates the need to take things to landfills and what have you. So from a responsibility to nation and to community, it's a great thing. It's not done anywhere in the United States at this juncture. It's strictly a European model. We have the first license, working with the entity that has the first license in the U.S. So we hope to be, if you're going to be somebody, as I was once told, be somebody that everybody else wants to emulate. Hopefully we're going to build a facility that everybody else will come here and visit and emulate. And we take responsibility for carbon neutral, and we take responsibility for taking care of our energy commitment that we signed on to a couple of years ago. Trying to help in various ways. A lot of you know that the crosswalk there in the middle of the 200 block has been very difficult to see. We figured out a way to put LED lighting, kind of almost like something out of E.T. It just shines down on from both sides, but it lights it up very well. And if you haven't driven it at night, you now definitely know that there's a crosswalk there. We also are 50% done with the same thing down by the Iron Hills, so that where that crosswalk is at. The idea is to light it up because it's so hard for the drivers to see, especially at nighttime. So just kind of showing you we're taking responsibility for things at various levels. Last week we installed, I don't know that they're actually functioning yet, but we located 16 electronic vehicle parking spots. Emphasis meaning parking, EV parking preferred. We realize we have a parking problem. We don't want to take 16 spaces and just make them not available when they sit empty. So it is preferred, but anybody can park in those spots. So it's an honor system. They're still metered, but there are a lot of vehicles that are coming in the way of electronics. We are asking, by the way, just sort of a backfill on that statement. All of the developers, we've asked them to include bicycles and storage of bicycles into their developments, as well as electric vehicle parking facilities in the various buildings. This is the trail system that we are working and striving towards. The green being the Schuylkill River Trail, that's probably the most obvious to all of you because you see it on a day-to-day basis. The yellow is, most of you may or may not know, that a portion of that is actually complete behind the giant shopping center. It's complete to nowhere. It's like, the Alaskan Bridge. It just doesn't go anywhere. Again, assuming the positive side of development being approved tonight, we would enjoy additional land to be able to make that connection basically to Borough Hall, but for a small piece from Paradise to the giant shopping center. So it's not a very distance issue, but it's just a matter of acquiring that final piece. The purple to the right is the county is on the agenda tonight for the approval of their Black Rock Sanctuary extension. And this will be another piece that brings it from the Black Rock Sanctuary further into the borough, and then ultimately connecting to where it is, where the red is at, which is the Picta Trail, which is the piece that's on the Riverworks side of the French Creek. The red in the middle is where the borough's community center would be, and we could go straight across the Fillmore and then tie into what that sort of turquoise or bluish look is, which is a right-of-way that exists from PennDOT. If we were to work with PennDOT and create the trail from the red back over to the green and follow that loop around, we determined it's almost a perfect 3.1 mile run. So assuming that to be true and we could get certified, we'd actually have a bona fide course that would qualify people for various races. So a lot of forward thinking by all of our staff to help make these things happen over the course of time. Oh yeah. be a little bit difficult to cross the bridge for the next 6 months, but it's needed. Right now, that sidewalk sits up high. That's dangerous because if you fall, first of all, you're not supposed to ride the bikes on there, but if you do and you fall off, it's a train wreck. So we've, over the last 4 years, have worked with our consultants and PennDOT and, oh my God, Norfolk Southern, to get this to where we can have a 9 foot at its widest and about 8 foot as it goes underneath the train trestle there, lighted all the way through, all the way across. And then if you notice the signs on either side, they look familiar. That's because we tried to tie them into the kiosks that we have in the downtown. So it's a motif. It comes out of the Phoenix column that Barbara Cohen and folks way before me conjured up in and around the downtown. And so we're continuing that progression of that idea. It's going to be difficult getting across the bridge for a while. So one lane. It's going to narrow the lanes, but as you can appreciate, PennDOT's not going to let us do something that they wouldn't otherwise approve. So for our purposes, to be able to get Norfolk Southern, the PUC, and PennDOT to give us approval to do that, there's a whole lot of people get to clap on the back for that one. Yes, sir.
What's the schedule?
Yesterday we started. Really heavy lifting probably towards the end of the week, and then we're going to run like rabbits until December-ish, until we can't. There's a latex coating that's required on this that can only be put down when the weather is 45 degrees to 80 degrees, but it has to be a consistent. So you're not going to get that in January. You might get a warm day or a 2-day, but you're not going to get a consistency. So they'll probably winterize, which would be great for traffic during that period of time, and then come back more like the March time frame, and then find that very narrow window. As we know, April is really wet around here as it relates to rain. So if we can find that 1 week window and get that latex down, we'll be fine. It's dicey, we got to get it, but the intent is to be done and out of here in April. Please.
And daily, the one lane is what hours?
9 to 4. 9 to 4.
And no weekends?
The original contract called for night work and weekends, and we've got them pinched down to 9 to 4, Monday through Friday, and still within the target schedule of October to April.
And when is Produce Junction being airlifted?
There's not enough C4 on the earth for me. I hope they're not in here. The Schuylkill River Trail, we've added a couple of amenities up near Maury Road. We've added some workout location. Again, you can see the kiosk with that motif. And soon we'll be adding a bike workstation so that there's a place that has, the tools and things necessary to fix your bike if your bike were to break down. The reason the green thing that looks like a football field on the right, that's really going to be our colors for, instead of the red, it'll be the green and then our logo on there. Give or take.
It should be delivered in the next couple weeks. We still have to do a concrete pad and
Okay.
install.
So before the end of the year,
Yeah.
that'll be installed. You know that doesn't work, right? So we have been, honest to goodness, Kelly, 3.5 years trying to work with Norfolk Southern to jack this up. We've got the funding to do it. It's just it's a slow, methodical process with these utilities. And so we have gotten everything we think at this juncture, signed our life away. We're going to go to bid, and it's actually only a 1-month project, but it will jack that up by another 2 feet. Tractor trailers still can't go underneath it, but they're not allowed to go underneath of it. And if we have some funding, we'll probably put the little, you know, if you hit this, you're going to hit that signs. So, and then, but most of the vehicles, the main purpose of jacking it up, by the way, isn't for Mascaro or box trucks. It's for our fire trucks and our emergency services vehicles to get them to the north side. Two different ways, because if something were to happen to the high bridge right now, they got to go around and come out and back through Township Line Road or across the one-lane road now, and then come back in through 113. Not a good place to be. Almost to the end. We recognize there's a lot of tension transportation-wise, and Route 23 being the most significant corridor, traversing from East Pikeland through to Schuylkill Township, and then on out through Valley Forge. So the borough stepped in, thank you Borough Council, stepped in and paid for a end-to-end study on the various things that we can do. The first thing starts with an audit of can we improve signage, can we improve signalization, can we improve various components with and get PennDOT's approval to do it, do those, and then come back in and work on timing strategies or lane changes and such things. We recognize that the downtown isn't just Bridge Street and Main Street, but that it's also Church Street and Gay Street. So council has helped us put together a plan that we can now go for funding to the various agencies. And what you see, one of the ideas that we came up with is right here, where that gray is. You know, the borough had a little bit of a deal with something called Belgian blocks. We stored them, we've held on to them, and the idea is to create a somewhat unique entranceway as you come into the borough from the south side. You cross over that, and it's a very subtle way of saying you've arrived someplace differently. And so we're going to use them in the middle of that concept. And again, this is Gay Street from Bridge to Church or Church to Bridge, whichever way it is there. The other project that we got to work our way through is Star Street and Bridge. We have the ability to cure this problem. PennDOT has said that they will support once we acquire the necessary land to make it happen. The idea is to improve the turning radiuses and also create a walkway from Star to the Columbia Station, which would prevent people from having to cross over where they do now, and eliminate that very dangerous situation. Here on back to Star and Nut, the TrueMark Financial in their project, they've worked with us very, very closely to provide us the right of way, and we have a granted application as we speak to improve that intersection. And if we get the grant, we'll be making strides on making this intersection a lot easier to navigate. In the morning, it is certainly a nightmare, as many of you know. Last slide. This is our wayfinding. The stuff up on the left is the stuff that you see in town currently. The parking lot signage is what you see currently. And then we've got this idea of all of our entranceways to create this kind of a logo, entryway, identity, whatever you want to call it, at each of the ways into the borough, daylight and then nighttime lighting. And so it's a goal. It's not cheap. We've got to work our way through that, but we like the idea, and at some point in time we should hopefully see 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of those going up. And for the technologically minded, not me, this is how you contact us, and I don't do any of them. I do the one on the bottom, actually. I can do that one. But, so, open for questions. Try to be responsive. Otherwise, yay.
Is there a plan for a parking garage?
There is not a plan for a parking garage. And here's why. I know this is going to not be favored nation status, but if we get the additional parking, that pretty much eliminates the need for it. A parking garage, to be financially feasible, needs to be 300 stalls. A parking garage today for the borough, because of its wage requirements, is about $28,000 a stall. If you're going to float $7 or $8 million a year for 20 years to pay for that, you've got to have an income just to pay the debt service of $450,000 a year at today's interest rates. That doesn't take in the amount of money that's needed for the employees or any of the operational costs. But, and this is the big but, in order to do that, you have to make that the location so that you can secure that funding. If you do that, you then have to make the parking on Bridge Street metered, and you have to make the parking on Gay Street and Main Street and Church Street metered, and you have to raise the amount in the other parking lots to push people to go to the place that you have debt service on. I like my day job. And there's going to be a lot of upset people in the downtown if we were to put metered parking up and down those streets, I think. So I think we're curing it in a better way, a more reasonable way. And by the way, a mere 12 years ago, nobody in this room had an iPhone. There was no smartphone. Technology has changed a lot in that 12 years. So imagine what happens over 20 years. 20 years ago, and I'm going to steal from you, 20 years ago, literally, 1999, we built a Kmart. It's gone. Sears is gone. 20 years ago. So in that same time frame, do we want debt service on a building that technologically, whether it be automation of vehicles or other such things, takes that away and we still have the debt service? I think we're being reasonable. It's my opinion. It's the one I give to Borough Council in their thought process. But I think we're being more responsible working with the development community and trying to find at-grade parking to meet the demands of the downtown. Not necessarily a fashionable answer, but it's the answer that I afforded council over the course of time. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any more discussion about train service?
Um,
I know, right?
The mayor's in the room. Listen, the train service thing has, to coin a phrase, it's running on two separate tracks. Nobody. Come on. You have the one that's visually approved in as a concept through the agencies that everybody knows in the Philadelphia region, and that's the one that comes out to Valley Forge. You have the one locally that's being pursued that has a different way of going about it. They're running at different ways at different speeds, but they're still both running. And I think council's position, at least for the foreseeable future, is there's no financial commitment necessary from the borough at this point in time. So yes, they're going to be a cheerleader, and to coin the phrase, whoever gets there first, yay, we win no matter what. It's just which one does it and how does it get done financially and over what period of time. Yes, sir.
Any update on the project on Bridge Street across from Borough Hall?
I'm sorry?
The update on the project across from Borough Hall? Stable 12, all that?
Yeah, that is a project that has been put out there as I'm going to call it a sketch plan.
Okay.
A sketch plan is not a formal application, so I only know it as a sketch plan. And so until it comes into the borough with more formal, it's an idea. They're kicking me off the stage. I can feel it.
All the new residential buildings, all the apartments and condos and townhomes, is there tax breaks for those developments, or is that passed? And is that tax revenue going to be realized? And
It was called LRTA, Local Economic Revitalization Tax Authorization. It was a tax abatement. It was available to a large area of the borough that was undeveloped as part of the steel mill project. 3 years ago, after the first two projects came online, council decided with a lot of push from the outside that the LERTA should go away. That's not a wrong thing or a bad thing or a right thing. It just, they saw there was, at that point in time, not a need for any more LERTA, and so they ended it. I'm not sure whether East Pikeland and Schuylkill has ended theirs, but theirs is, their clock's coming up soon as well, and so they either have to extend it, renew it, or let it, die. The thing with LERTA is the 10 years starts for the developer at a point certain. So even if you're at 10 years on the calendar of LERTA, if you're at 9 years, 11 months, and 20 days, and you do it on the 21st day, knowing that there's only 9 more left in the final 10 years, you still get your 10 years as a developer. So I don't know where theirs is at, but ours ended 3 years ago. Okay.
All the new apartment buildings and so forth, is there some percentage that's set aside for affordable housing?
Let me just say there's no formal requirement that we can impose. What I will say as a staff working with the development community, we've been able to be afforded financially some incentives that we will work with the Health Foundation on creating a fund box to put the money into. The developer gets the benefit of giving to a 501c3. The 501c3 will hold those funds, and then the Council on Affordable Housing will be the entity that manages how those funds are made available to those that are in need. Okay, well, I'm only here until you tell me I gotta get off, so.
Are we looking at some kind of tax change with all this development in apartments and townhouses? Your tax base is in your people who own their homes. Is there a change that will happen?
Well, look at it this way. The apartment complex for Phoenix Village is assessed at, I believe, $45 million. How many homes does it take to get to that $45 million if the average home price in the borough is about $200,000? It takes a lot of those homes. So that's a formula. There's a lot of hyperbole over industrial and retail use and the tax base. There's the residential tax base, and then there's the commercial tax base. We kind of are looking at it from a blended view shed of the residential that's coming in provides two tax base, actually. It provides the base on the development of the project itself, and then all of the earned income tax for the people that are living in the apartments. So to use Riverworks in Phoenix Village as an example, there's 625 residential units. They're almost at capacity. When we look at the rent rolls, we see 900 people that are living in there that are earned income tax payers. So for the school district and us, that's 900 people that if they were, you couldn't build 900 homes in the borough. Then there's the tax base that you get from the industrial side of things. So it's a balancing act, to be perfectly blunt with you. And it takes, if an industrial comes in, it's boom, it's happening right then and there. With a residential development, it's spread out over the course of time. And then there's the infill and the saturation that occurs with it. So it doesn't happen overnight, and we don't budget on the full base. We budget on what we anticipate is going to come in on an annual basis.
Thank you,
Thank
Jean.
you.
Thank you so much, Jean. Always great to hear from you. Just have a couple of chamber announcements to get to. First, want to mention next month's meeting in November, we will be focusing on Small Business Saturday. So our meeting actually is going to take place at Phoenix Village downtown. Be a little bit more of a casual setup, and we'll be sending out email blasts in regards to that as well. And it is slated as a breakfast, so please note the time change from today. Also want to talk about Harvest Fest. right here on that banner over there. I'm sorry, Karen told me I needed to switch that, my bad. So Harvest Festival begins at the close of this month, October 31st. Just a few quick notes on that. Want to thank all the folks that have been referring vendors to us and those who've sponsored. We'll begin the event on October 31st with a haunted tour by Ryan Conroy in Morris Cemetery. So there will be 2 sessions of that. Night market will take place at Riverworks / The Point on Friday, November 1st from 6 to 9. The harvest breakfast will be at Bluebird, catered by Stonehouse Grill and Your Mom's Place. Their chef, Bill Rutter, is preparing the food, and it does come with a cocktail. And the beer garden will be that afternoon, 1 to 5, at the new Root Down Brewing and Uncle B's project at 425 Bridge. They will also be relatively newly open by that time, so it'll be a great time to experience that. The carnival is 11 to 3 at Reservoir Park, and the softball tournaments across the street at Friendship Field. And we'll wrap on Sunday with Pet Day from 12 to 3 in Reeves Park. So if you are interested in any information on that, sponsorship, participation, please feel free to reach out to me directly. And all of these events are listed on Facebook, so feel free to check out the details there as well. We also have a couple of events coming up the rest of this month. Ribbon cutting this Thursday at Reynolds Devlin Speech Services will be at 5 p.m. We'll also be doing a ribbon cutting the following Thursday for the Teresa Haig mural camp, the mural experience that is at the Main and Bridge Street parking lot. And that morning we'll be hosting Chamber 101 at Borough Hall. Also want to mention the Halloween parade and trunk or treat event that's coming up on October 23rd. That will begin at the Borough Hall parking lot and end in the one edge of the 100 block of Bridge Street. So if anyone is interested in donating candy, we would gleefully accept that. Ms. Karen, who also volunteers as the Office of Emergency Management Director, is overseeing that, but you can find her daily in the chamber office. So if you would like to donate, you can bring it to her directly or arrange for a pickup. Just as a reference, the event really has grown by hundreds of kids per year. It jumped from about 400 kids to 850 kids last year, and we anticipate it to grow even more this year. We have currently purchased 100 pounds of candy between the Chamber and Phoenixville First, so if anybody's, again, interested in donating, it's very much appreciated for the kids in the community. I'd like to now bring up Megan, who's going to have a few notes on the charity gala, and then anybody else who has any upcoming events that they'd like to mention, if you could form a line right here, that would be great. Thank you.
Thanks, Jess. So, we do a little something called the Charity Gala, which is a big deal for the Chamber amongst a lot of other great events that we do throughout the year here in town for many charities. This year, it's extra big. Since the Chamber is celebrating our 90th anniversary, we are doing a Roaring 20s theme. So to be clear, we are asking people to dress the theme. So feel free to, put on some pearls, or please don't bring like a plastic gun though, that would cause a lot of hysteria. But please wear a cool hat or some suspenders, or get in the spirit, or wear nothing but just a nice outfit. That's also very acceptable. You don't have to dress up, but it will be the Saturday before Thanksgiving, as it has been for about the last 7 years. This year the venue will be Rivercrest, so we're super excited to work with them and host the event there. We have almost 200 people registered so far, so it's going to be a really, really, really fun evening. And the charity recipient this year, Barnstone Art for Kids, does a tremendous job to help a lot of young folks in this community, and they're a wonderful organization, as like all of our other recipients have. So we're super excited to honor them and raise a bunch of money for them. And it is a fundraiser for the Chamber as well. So you're not only supporting the charity, but you're supporting the Chamber by attending. So we have a lot of incredible sponsors. Already we're gonna have a 17-piece swing band, Swing Fever. The after party is gonna be at Rivercrest. It's a sit-down dinner. You get 2 drink tickets. I mean, what else can I say, right? Just for a show of hands, how many people have registered or are able to attend the event? Not to embarrass anyone, I just wanna know. Okay, awesome. So that's a really great turnout, so thank you so much. So for those of you that are interested, we'd love to have you. Invite your friends. I know I have a slew of people that come from my neighborhood and really enjoy the event. We still are looking and always looking for any kind of auction item for our silent auction. That is the biggest fundraiser part of the event. That's where we make our most money. So we're still looking for auction items and what we call our heavy sugar sponsors. So just to have a little fun with the event, there's a lot of themes going on. In the past, that's been our community champion sponsor for $250. So it's basically a way for an individual or business to support the event and just, you know, be a named sponsor for the event. So we appreciate that. We'll have a lot of thanks to Jess and Karen and Janice, our wonderful staff. We have a lot of really cool things planned for that evening. We'll have Bluebird Distillery there doing some neat tastings. Bridge Street Chocolates is going to be participating and doing some cool things. We'll have a lot of oddities, just like a Great Gatsby party. So please, it's going to be a fabulous evening. And we're really uncapped with attendance, so we can accept all of you that are able to make it. So thank you so much. You can register online, or you can also call the office and register as well. So, did I forget anything? Okay. Looking forward to seeing you there.
Hello, I'm Chris Keller with Orion Communities, and this Saturday is our Music for Everyone concert. Hopefully you've been seeing these posters around. It's a special event because we have a variety of different kind of music, so it is really music for everyone, but also our sponsors gift tickets so that our clients, our neighbors in need can also participate. This year, the performer, the group that's leading this, Catherine Friedman, is the executive director at Nauer Performing Arts in Westchester. So some of you might know her from Friends Association. Phenomenal voice, great personality, has a couple of friends, Jazz Cat and Friends. It's jazz, it's blues, it's pop, it's Broadway. So come out for that. And then this year we are not overlapping with the Chambers Gala for our Warmth for All. It's National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week is November 9th to the gala date. Often we're on the same date. At any rate, this year we're going to be at the Y on November 9th. If you would like to donate warmth, socks, blankets, and clothes. Socks are the biggest thing that are asked for in homeless shelters. The same thing with the folks that we work with. And if you'd like to do a drive at your business, please talk to me. I've got some postcards, or you could just reach out to me another time. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joanne McCracken with the Senior Center. I'm here to announce that we're having a spaghetti dinner on October 17th. $10 for adults, $5 for kids. We do takeout. And Bill Rudder from Your Mom's House and Stonehouse Grill is doing the spaghetti and meatballs. It's spaghetti and meatballs, a salad, dessert, and beverage. So I hope you can support us. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm with the Phoenixville Public Library, and we are hosting our 16th annual Wine, Wit, and Wisdom on November 7th, which is a Thursday. There will be wine tasting, your dinner, and robust silent auction. And then our featured author this year is Juliet Grames. We partnered with the new Reeds and Company bookshop in downtown Phoenixville, and they'll be moderating the discussion. Thanks.
How are you?
Hi all, I'm Christy Flynn, I'm with Rockwell. Jean mentioned my event, which is tonight. It's the council meeting, so if you would like to talk to me about what's going on at Steel Point and the project and what that can mean for you and your business, I am here to talk about it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mark Young. I'm the new chair of the Social Concerns Committee, and you can ask me about that another time. What I'm here to mention today is that one of the projects we're working with, and many of the people in the room are familiar with it already, is trying to develop a program called Bridges Out of Poverty, and that has to do with helping people who have begun to take steps toward that and help them onward to a point of self-sufficiency. But first, trying to get an entire community on board on how to do that together, recognizing that it cannot really be done by any one agency or any one group on its own. We have a whole lot of training opportunities, and by a whole lot, I mean a whole lot. And they're available in both English, and we have a Spanish session that will be offered as well. These posters that list them all are available by the door. If you know Teresa Thornton, she has a bunch of them. If you don't know, look for the poster and then get to meet her. And we look forward to seeing people there.
Hi, my name is Mandy Allen. I'm with Good Samaritan Services. I didn't realize we could do a plug-in, so I don't have any flyers for our event, but I just wanted to we're backing off of the Harvest Festival. We have an event on, let me just make sure I have my facts straight, November 2nd. It is our Phoenixville bed races. It's 3 nonprofits that come together, and we have a really fun event that kicks off at 10 o'clock, and then the actual bed races are at 12 o'clock. The proceeds will go back to 3 nonprofit organizations, one being Good Samaritan Services, and the whole theme is no one should be without a bed. If you can come out and attend, we'd love to see you there.
Thank you so much. As a note regarding Harvest Fest and the bed races, anyone participating in the bed races actually will receive a discount on our breakfast. Maybe should not engage in the cocktail, but if you want to carb up, that's the place to do it. So we will be offering a discount there, as well as at our beer garden following the conclusion of bed races. So look out for that. I have one last thing here before we're pulling raffle winners, okay? So you may have seen these around town. This is our 'Tis the Season marketing. Please no one hit me, but we are going to talk about Christmas for a second. For the last couple of years, and actually really spearheaded initially by Cameron Peters of Cameron Peters Floral Design, she initiated with the BAC an Adopt a Wreath program a couple of years back. And so that program is still going on. We did extend the deadline for wreaths, which is going to be Thursday. We're looking to close that out. So please, for just $40, you can sponsor a very large and beautiful 36-inch wreath on Bridge Street, and $20 for wreaths that are 24 inches. They'll be hung in Reeves Park. So you can list a message on it or your business name. It's just a great way to really help increase the holiday vibe in Phoenixville, and we appreciate that support very much. So again, the next 2 days you can go, these flyers are on your table, they're at the door if you want to check out the 'Tis the Season website. Also, I had mentioned Small Business Saturday coming up, that we're doing the meeting. That will be Saturday, November 30th. I just wanted to be clear about that. Thanksgiving is very late this year in most people's minds, so wanted to mention that as a reminder. And the Chamber office will be opening as a center that day, a welcome center that day. We'll have hot cocoa and raffles and a little pop-up shop, and more details will be coming out about that. And December 6th, will be the holiday parade, tree lighting, and the winter market downtown. So mark your calendars for that. New this year, many of you who have been in town a long time may remember in the 1990s that the Chamber and what was known then as PABA came together to do a shopping night. Which I believe was a Saturday at that time, but those days are certainly on the busier side now for those in town. So through 'Tis the Season, we are actually creating what we're calling the Luminaria Shopping Night. We will have over 1,000 luminarias through the downtown as you shop, and that is Wednesday, December 11th. Shops will very likely be offering, special discounts, some possibly offering tastings and those sorts of things inside. We just really encourage you to come down again for a beautiful night with the vibe of the holidays. We will also have carolers out through the streets as well. Want to also thank real quick our new members. The newly retired Dr. Lou Beccaria, Nectar Yoga Studio, Only Results Fitness, and the Sound Bank. So if you can pull out your tickets now, we're going to pull door prizes and raffles. All right, first, for our door prizes, Glow Skin Boutique and Spa is now under new ownership. And they have a lovely new foot soap that they are presenting and have donated today. And the winner of that is Sarah Peppel. Yeah. Sarah's gonna do that. The next two are membership meetings, so winners there are Janice Zimmerman, the hospital, and Steve Beebe from the Community Eco Store. I'll get those to you guys. Come on up, Steve, sure. And for the raffle prizes, we have $20 to Conchi Brewing. That one goes to ticket number 020077. 77? Well, of course, it's a McCracken. Yes. Awesome, congratulations, Joanne. And the next is for an ad, is it in our email blast or newsletter? Okay. Thank you. Final two numbers there are 59. 59, awesome. Steve, wonderful. We'll be in touch with you on the details for that. Thank you guys again so much. We'll look forward to seeing you in November. Have a great day.